Hello, everybody. In this video, we are going to do a resume roast. I've been getting a lot of resumes sent in for our paid resume service where we build you a complete custom resume. And before we ever start that, we always get you guys to send us your resume before we build you a new one. And we always try to give input and feedback on what to improve and why we make the change we make. So if you do also want your resume changed and improved so you can actually get more interviews, there's a link in the description box below for that. And we always use our resume templates based on the industry you're in to get you the best possible resume. So jumping into this resume, we're going to talk about what's bad here and how to improve it. We're going to have a little bit of fun because a lot of the resumes we receive are very bad, I'll be honest. So
This is probably one of the worst ones we've ever got. Just wanted to put that out.
this one is it takes the cake. It's very ugly and it's
Terrible.
bad for getting interviews. So okay, we're gonna start from the top and go down. We're gonna talk about things in detail, but also overall kind of aesthetics as well. So first things first is, in my opinion, this just looks bad, right? So it's not appealing to the eye. And a resume doesn't have to be beautiful or anything, but it has to be simple. And like these green bars here, to me, just looks weird. Um, Without even looking at the points, there's just way too much white space in weird places. But
Could you explain what white space means to the viewers? Because in most of my coaching calls that I had, most of them didn't know what white space was.
For sure, yeah. So you'll notice we usually recommend one-page resumes, especially if you don't have, over a decade of experience. And when you do have a one-page resume, you want to do your best to fill the entire page. So you can see here in education, there's a big white space here, and it just looks choppy. It doesn't let your eye flow to the next points. And then even in awards and achievements here, it's empty. So it just looks inconsistent. And you want to fill the entire page. Doesn't mean you have to add fluff, but you want to fill the page.
Yeah, not to cut you off there, Ben, but also the margins on the left and right, as you can see, to show them the margins there, you can see that there's about probably 1.5 inches on each side. And you want to kind of drag this out as much as you can to fit the outer pages and fill as much information you can into one page.
Exactly. Okay, so let's start with the technical skills here. So this person is a software engineer. And also, guys, if you want to also get your resume roasted, make sure you anonymize your resume before you send it in to us, before we do the review. So technical skills here, in my opinion, these are way too sparse. Like there's not enough. In this day and age, people and recruiters and hiring managers expect way more languages, frameworks, libraries to be there. And even if you don't have expert knowledge in them, you can still list them, even if you just work with them to some extent, right? So you might not be super comfortable, but if you have some awareness of a library or a language, just list it. The odds are you're not going to get grilled on it. It's better to have more than little, because in this example, there's just not enough technical skills here.
You want to have at least 20 to 40 in the technical skills, but as many as you can fit in there, because if your resume goes to an ATS scan, your resume won't get picked up and be one of the top applicants just because you're not going to have any skills or keywords in there.
Exactly. You want to be able to maximize the amount of matches you get on the job description skills. Okay, so before we even get to the product, I also want to mention the layouts. So this person has work experience. They're not a new graduate, but they put their work experience all the way at the bottom. So the issue with that is usually when someone sees a resume like this one, they usually assume it's someone that's a new graduate or someone that just had big job gaps, because why would you lead with technical skills, projects, and education when you have work experience? If I'm a recruiter, I might only have a few seconds to scan this resume, and I might not even make it all the way to the bottom of the page to see that this person actually has good experience. So you want to make sure the work experience is either the first or second thing at the top of your resume. Okay, project. Let's look at projects. So projects are good to have. Ideally, you'd also link to your project. I'm assuming this person didn't include links just because, they want to keep it anonymous, which is fine. The projects don't have to be crazy complex, but they should be something that's more than, a ChatGPT wrapper or something that's super basic that you can build in a day. Ideally, if you can actually make something super complex that's actually interesting and valuable, that will work better. I can't speak on these projects again because I didn't see them, but they look decent. They look somewhat interesting. Not really too much to add here, but maybe also mention some things about people actually using your projects, or was it just something you built for fun and it never gets used? Because that's going to change a lot of people's perception on your projects. Maybe they're actually used by 1,000 users wherever you deploy that project.
Yeah. Also, Ben, just for that, I even recommend having like more points for that and more detail because they have no idea what you've made and what it's used for, obviously. But you also want to have a link to your maybe your GitHub where you can actually demonstrate the project you're working on and how it works. Otherwise, you can literally write anything you want in that and they'll believe that you did it, right? So you actually want to have some working progress and maybe connect your GitHub to that as well.
Exactly. Like these points are a little too simple here. It doesn't really like it says customer support, but customer support for who? Is it actually being used by someone or was it just a little side project? So giving more detail is going to be better here. And then education. So education, of course, here the white space is the biggest issue in my opinion here. Other than that, this is fine. I mean, obviously, depending on the degree you have, you can't really change that once you have it. But maybe adjusting these points could be a little bit better because like working on industry project. What does industry projects mean? You want to list maybe actual companies that you worked with, and go into a bit more detail on what those companies did because people will give that more value. Um, GPA, this one's not bad to include because it's decent, but often you don't even have to include GPA. But yeah, not really too much more to add on education.
I agree.
Okay, work experience. So work experience, of course, is going to be one of the most important ones on a resume. You can see here this person only has two positions. And right off the bat, it's kind of weird to me how they go from software engineer to product manager,
Yeah.
but they title themselves as software engineer. So you want to make it clear that, like you're looking, depending on what position you're looking for, ideally you could organize it better. So product manager could also be for a software company where you're still a technical product manager. So if you are trying to still be a software engineer, I'd write, even if it might be a little bit of a white lie, something like technical product manager, right? So that sticks out. So they think you're actually related to a software engineer. Also, these points are super basic and they don't actually have any analytics or value that you brought to a company. Ideally, you want to say things like, increased revenue by this percentage or brought this project to completion, which saved the company this amount of money or time, things like that. And ideally, you'd add more points in, especially this person only has two experiences. This is just not enough points.
They're too short and you need at least 3 to 5 bullet points is what I would recommend. Even at the start of the resume, you see the title software engineer. I wouldn't even put that there because I think it just a waste of space. You can probably fit if you just scroll up there, Ben. Like you removing that gives you 2 to 3 more bullet points, 2 to 3 more bullet points you can add in your resume. So that's just a waste of time. I wouldn't even bother touching that. I would just delete that. Just scroll down a little bit. Yeah, these are way too short, these points that you have here. We need at least 3 to 5 points. If you have less experience, if you only have two, you probably need about 5 bullet points each. But I recommend having at least 3 work experiences on your resume at minimum. And yeah, that's just my 2 cents for that.
And yeah, like these are just super basic. Like, what does
Yeah.
backend services mean? So right, like this just looks like it's made up, honestly. So if you have something like this where you might not have analytics, you want to go at least into more detail about what you built exactly because people are going to put more value onto it. They're not going to think it's just some fake experience you added. And then looking at the awards and achievements, these are okay. It's just something to kind of fill the space. They're not a bad thing essentially. But again, I'd probably add in more bullet points here. For example, this person, if they won product manager of the year, I'd want to write what made you win, right? There had to be something you did in your time there to make you stand out. So maybe just include some details about that. But other than that, not really much to mention there. Anything else on your side that you point out?
Yeah, scroll all the way to the bottom there. So one really simple thing that people mostly miss is having your city and country of where you perform that job or that work experience. So you would put that before the dates worked, and the same thing could go for education as well. I know this resume is anonymized, but yeah, I don't think they have space or a place for the city and state they've had their position at. So that's really important to as well. And if we just go to the awards and achievement, I didn't really take a look at that. Let me just take a look at that there. Oh, yeah, it's so ugly because there's so much white space. The font is actually bigger. I don't know if you've noticed there, Ben, but the font is bigger than the other ones in the resume. Uh, I don't even think I wouldn't even add an awards and achievements box, period. I think you can replace that with your certifications. or something else. But I don't think there's even any point. That's personally what I think, that you don't need any awards or achievements on your resume.
Yeah, I'd agree that in this case, I would leave them out just because these are so basic looking,
Yeah.
and they don't really even if you actually have more detail and maybe an external link to that award that you won, I'd link that. But if it's just this basic type of text, I would not even include awards here.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
what you mentioned about the city is important because yeah, a recruiter might look at this and they might not know that you are based in the location that you're applying to. So they might get, a little scared off and just think you're wasting their time, and they might just throw your resume out. So always include your locations for every position. Even if it's remote, you can still write the country where you work remotely from.
Yeah, just want to say something real quick. So Ben and I actually made a golden resume, is a template that we've used for the last couple of years. Helped all our clients using that template as well. It's something that's worked for us for forever, so we haven't really changed it. You barely see any white space in that specific resume. So if you guys want to get your resume custom made by us, check out the pinned comment below down below. Click the link and sign up for that way. And we tend to actually get our resumes delivered within 48 to 72 hours. So if you're looking for a job right now, I highly recommend investing in your resume, because that's what's going to take you from getting an interview. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely check that out.
And if you do want to get your resume roasted, anonymize it, send it over to us, email in the description box, and we'll do a resume roast just like this one. Other than that, though, thanks for watching the video. Like and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this, and we'll see you guys next time.